Good morning. As I wait for my video to catch up to my voice, I will start with giving you all greetings on this Monday morning, February 23rd, 2026. We are alive, we're well, we're looking at the window, seeing the snow flurries as they're falling this morning, and just gauging the temperature outside to be pretty cold. It's probably in the upper 20s, lower 30s this morning. That is enough to keep most people in bed, but not us. We're up, we're awake, we're alive. We are engaging the day. We are preparing for life, therefore we do not sleep in. It is Westerfield here with you on this new episode of A Mind of Valor. Welcome. Glad you all could be here with me. Glad you all are taking the time to view this video and to gather your thoughts alongside of my own as we prepare for a new week. Still early in this 2026 year, so there's the opportunity there, and we're growing, we're building, we're maturing, we're seeing what life has in store, seeing what God has in store for us, what we need to do on a daily basis to be one step ahead of whatever else is happening in the world, and remaining sharp. Definitely appreciative of life lessons, wisdom, relationships, the active participation in my relationship, people I love and trust, coming to this experience on a daily basis. And in this instance, curious to know why my recording is treating me the way it is. I don't know what you're seeing on your end, but on my end, in my OBS, my video is frozen, which is uncommon, but my audio is still tracking. So I don't know if y'all are actually getting the video or just getting the audio of the video. I'm gonna hop on my phone and just check out the stream itself on my YouTube channel to see what it's actually capturing. Because if it's just not seeing the video, I might just keep going if it's only capturing the audio. Yeah, it has the freeze frame of what I looked like when the video started, but it looks like it's still going, which is rather strange. So I'm actually going to stop the video because I don't think it's getting the audio. Stop the video because I don't think it's getting the audio. Stop the video because I don't think it's getting the audio. Stop the video. Actually, it is still getting the audio. It's just acting funky with the video, which is okay. We progress. We will keep moving. This is a minor technical difficulty that I will have situated by next week, or at least by the time I get off this video this morning. So again, good morning. I guess this is going to be a podcast of sorts today. Just recently getting off my Atlas call. I personally have been up since around 5 a.m. That's the time I normally rise to do my fitness workout and track my exercise routine. For me, it's pretty simple. I keep weights at the house. So I'll do shoulder presses, body weight squats, I'll do pull-ups, push-ups, like some front lateral raises. I might do some crunch or sit-up variations, some reverse chair dips, and really just trying to hit hypertrophy as best that I can to get the blood flowing into those muscles. Thereafter, if I'll do some work, some steady work, some mental work, and before I go into a couple more exercises, and then like for the duration of the time that I'm at home on a Monday, I'll just oscillate between doing some mental exercises and some physical exercises with the weights and the setup that I have here at home. So it works out that way. It's definitely a good investment, and I'm pleased that I started my day like that. It just gets my blood flowing, keeps me energized throughout the day. Drink a protein shake with all my fixings in there, so I have something on the stomach. So today, I just wanted to chat a little bit about something that came up for me during the meeting today, and I will try to limit the uhs and the buts and those transitional sounds. Something that came up for me was really how we perceive others' experiences with us and how that changes how we perform and how we engage the world. I believe that when people have expectations of us, high expectations, it definitely is something that can motivate us when we know how to frame it for ourselves. In other instances, when people have high expectations for us and we don't necessarily take the time to frame it properly, it just becomes a lot of stress and an unnecessary burden that can really sit on our shoulders. It can affect how we show up, how we perform, how we engage and experience life. And it's unfortunate when that framing doesn't come through properly at the right time or through the right conduit, because what was an opportunity for us to rise to an occasion and rise to our better selves becomes a anchor that keeps us in a particular place, or it keeps our minds trapped in a particular identity much longer than it needs to be. This also is one of those situations where we're looking at the messenger. And they say don't kill the messenger, but the messenger is often the person, entity, idea, experience, space, job, enterprise, whatever the case may be. That message will determine significantly how we receive and engage what comes after, right? So the follow-up will be, in most instances, very determined on how the message was received. I personally think and feel that I do well with pressure. In the environment that I work in, it is very fast-paced, very high velocity work with a lot of employees under me, and am responsible for different teams of people at different times. So that type of environment I enjoy, I thrive in. But if I were to look at it from a different perspective and feel like the responsibility over others was something that I couldn't handle, or I perceived it as something that was overwhelming for me, my environment that I currently work in would be the biggest burden to my success. Because every time that I step into that space, I would feel overwhelmed. I would feel a sense of guilt or shame when I can't perform to the high level of expectation that is, expected. It would become an anchor that would keep me from growing and from seeing the best in that experience and the best possible outcomes from that experience. So again, how we frame situations will be a big determinant of how and what we get out of the experience, right? So when we're looking at the messenger and this idea of how we receive information, you have some people who can pick up a book, watch a YouTube channel, pick up a recording of a podcast, and just absorb all the nutrients that they might benefit from that. We have other people who require an instructor and who require a mentor, a team atmosphere, a coach, so that they might receive a message and take it in. Other people can just look at the experiences of others and from their experience recognize what is valuable and what to learn and what to discard. We are all different, but in all those situations, we have, as individuals, the obligation to know how best that we receive information, how best that we receive knowledge, right? If I, as an adult male, know that I struggle to learn in a particular way, at some point it becomes my responsibility to engage information in the way that I learn best. So, past an age of accountability, and every culture is different with regard to what that age looks like, I have to take personal responsibility for how I learn, how I receive information, what mandates that I'm putting around the way that I acknowledge new information, building new relationships. Because if I know that I don't learn well in a particular way, but then I keep feeding myself that same exact way, that's one of those definitions of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You're not going to get a different result, therefore, you will not get the full benefits of that experience. You miss out on an opportunity to learn, you miss out on an opportunity to build stronger relationships with the people around you, build trusting relationships, because one of those factors of our interpersonal relationships is trust and communication. And if you're struggling to learn, and the very people that are instructing you, you're not able to tell them, hey, I'm struggling to learn this, or I'm struggling to receive the information as you are presenting it. Is there another way that I can learn it? Is there another way that you can help me learn it? What would you recommend? If you're not asking these questions, it is as if you do not care enough about the outcome to receive the information properly. And I feel like despite all the pressures of life, we have to take personal accountability for how we receive truth, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Because at the end of the day, we'll be held accountable for that truth, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So if it's presented to you and you don't acknowledge the ways in which that you would best learn it, and then you don't learn it, you can't then look to the teacher and say, hey, you didn't teach me properly. The response is more along the lines of, hey, I didn't take the time to communicate with you that I was struggling, and or that I do not learn best in this way, so I did not receive the message. And in life, sometimes a message only comes one time. Unfortunately, some lessons only come one time. Some experiences and doors and windows only open one time. And if that time's passed, it's gone. And it's a shame, and very can be very detrimental to a person's ego and to their confidence and just how they perceive themselves in the world. If I don't confront how I learn information and I keep failing tests, that's going to bruise my confidence when it comes to test taking. And then, depending on the level that you're engaging that information, it may affect your ability to advance along certain core trajectories that require you to know certain information at certain times, right? So when those windows and doors are open, we have to be willing to humble ourselves, appear to not know, appear ignorant, to ask critical questions. That's why across all of the A Mind of Valor platforms, I have the catchphrase, ask better questions, because it is our responsibility to ourselves and to the world around us to ask better questions, more thoughtful questions, more provocative questions, questions that get to the root of experiences. If you were to go back to my high school and college professors and ask any one of them, any person that sat in the class with me, what type of student I was, they would say, that was the guy who would ask those random questions. Or when the class was silent and the teacher, and I would look across and see heads nodding and eyes glossing over, I would raise my hand and ask a loud question just to erupt some energy into the space. because I knew, for one, if I had questions, other people had questions. And just because they may not in that moment have had the confidence or the capacity to ask the question, I was going to get my question asked, right? And oftentimes it would open up broader discussions, and from those discussions, we would be able to find the commonalities in the those perpendicular bits of information that can bring two genres together or two mental models together that would explode people's understanding, right? It would take it to another level. Was that always the case? No. Every question wasn't a Einstein level question. Some were just simply to understand one small subset of information that then could compound into something else. But we don't always know what is foundational knowledge or a foundational experience for us. That's another thing about life. We can look back in retrospect at instances and be like, man, that was a foundational experience, or that was a foundational piece of wisdom that I learned that had all these effects later on. But in the moment, we don't always recognize those things for what they are. And that's why when the opportunity to speak, when the opportunity to ask questions comes about, it's important that we take those opportunities and open up our minds and our hearts to new information and be willing to receive new information. How we perceive others and in the experiences that we have, it will change how we perform in life, and it will change how those people that we engage with receive energy from us. We have to be pretty much everything to ourselves, and therefore that little sliver of excess will allow greater excess to be available to other people. That's the whole notion of the cup running over. But we don't get the opportunity to have a cup runneth over until we are full ourselves. And we don't become full ourselves until we know and fully recognize what it means for our cup to be full. We don't get that opportunity until we've actually filled our cup. But before all that, we have to grip the cup, right? We have to know what is worthy of holding on to put in the cup. We have to have the strength and the dexterity to pick up the cup. We have to be able-bodied enough to reach up into the cabinet. So again, these are all the ideas of what is foundational. We don't always know that in the present. Retrospect often gives us those identifications. So I want to leave you with this idea that the more that we remain silent in the face of not knowing, the more we miss opportunities to grow, to teach, to learn, and to become better versions of ourselves, and to become better versions for what the people that in our lives depend on. We don't even fully know what we are capable of because we're living at a limit below our fear, just in our comfort zone, just within the bounds of what is acceptable, right? Sometimes we're living within the bounds of what's acceptable in a group that we don't even feel comfortable being in the first place. So we've essentially pigeonholed ourselves into a group or an identity because we don't want to ask the challenging questions that will force us to step outside of that space, to step outside of our comfort zone. And so that's what I want to leave with you this week. If you have the space and the time to challenge those circles of comfort and competency, do so. In most instances, it's not going to break the mold, right? You can always go back to what you were comfortable with. But if you've seen more and you experience more, there's the opportunity for so much into the future. There's so much elevation out there. There are so many destinations that you have yet to see. There's so many mentors that you have yet to cross paths with. And you deserve that. We deserve to see the best version of yourself. I deserve to see the best version of myself. And our best versions deserve to interact in real time and change the world. That being said, being world changers, let us go forth. I bid you farewell. I bid you peace. I bid you love, expansion, and all things that you do. My name is William Westerfield Tolbert, and this is A Mind of Valor. Have a great Monday, and I will be speaking with you soon.